And yeah, that was a good question because yeah, if you find a spirit from the 1800s, a spirit is a spirit. It doesn't matter if it's this time or the 1800s. A spirit can always be passed over. Um, so go into a very brief. How does one learn to astral in 5 minutes? I know you can't do it in 5 minutes, but
well, generally, what we've done as part of our training is we go into the assumption that nobody, people do not know how to do it, and we work from the very basics. So it helps to have that, to be able to do it, but we don't make that assumption. So what I've done is I've created a whole set of exercises. First one is just learning to relax. One of the biggest challenges people have with astral projection is their conscious mind is just, running all over the place, whether they're thinking about what's for dinner or how things are going at work or, just the fear that, they may get lost in the astral plane. So what we do is we teach people to relax, and we do it through trance work. I create a set of exercises where you just learn to do that. Then we do some basic teaching people how to do shielding. So how to create a shield and be able to bring it up instantly. Then we do some exercises about just observation and situational awareness. Basically is, when the basics of, how to relax, how to leave your body. So, and this is challenging for a lot of new students, but it's just how to do that separation of the physical and the astral self. And then we just have them maybe just walk around your room, do an separation and just look at your room. What does it look like from an astral perspective? One of the common questions, we get is, hey, I can't do this. I can't do this. And then what I do is I work with the students and say, well, just imagine if you could. So even if you can't do it, just imagine what would be like if you did this. And for a lot of people, this really helps if they aren't under the stress. It's like, okay, I don't have to astrally project. I just need to imagine what it would be like. And suddenly, as you start, doing this, it becomes much easier for them to do that. And then we start applying some basic exercises, like to do an astral project within your body, how to do a scan, look for health issues within your bodies. It's like, hey, I've got this pain in my back. Astrally project into your physical body and see what this might possibly be. Probably one of the more valuable ones we do is we also help people go to the Akashic records. And this is sort of like a giant library for accessing information. So we teach them, if you have a question, you can go to the Akashic records, just like this library, and, get the answer that you're looking for. And we encourage people to start doing that over and over. So it's like, okay, do I need to take this job, or should I continue my relationship, or, should I go see a doctor? You can go to the Akashic records, look through there, and they can help you make a decision. We also do some shadow work, some basic shadow work, and this is part of our psychic self-defense training. Is the shadow is that part of us where we fear that other people will see, but some of the spirits and the nasties can take advantage of this. They see our vulnerabilities. So the idea is that we learn about our own vulnerabilities before somebody else does. So that's some of a lot of our pre-work. So we just have people try and do that. And, if this is for them to decide, yes, I would like to learn more, get more in depth into the astral projection, or no, this is not something I'm comfortable with. And so before the class starts, whatever they decide is absolutely fine. But then they have at least had some basic experiences with astral projection, even if they don't go through the classes. Then we start projecting to just targets. We go to a target you're familiar with, someplace you're comfortable, work or a store or a place that you like to go, and, see how accurate it is. Are you seeing what you know is to be there? Then we do some work, go to a place you've never been, and see how accurate that is. You can, after you come back, look it up under Google and say, yes, I saw that. Or, maybe it was a little bit different, but that's all good, just kind of building up the experience and the skill level. We also have people start looking at some of their supernatural entities in their own house. It's just, is there something there? And then looking around through astral, and how do you interact with them? Is there something, are you fine with them being here? Is this something that perhaps you need to help them cross over? So it starts looking at your own place to see what's there. And then we do a team exercise. So this is one of the things I think that makes our training a little bit different is we do a lot of emphasis on teamwork. So learning to work as a team in the astral is very, very important because everybody, a person can't do everything. So you may have one person who's kind of doing the observation, another person who's doing security, somebody who might be helping spirits move on. So learning to work together is a really, really important skill. And we try and recruit people who have a lot of experience with that. People who come from the military, have a medical background, have worked in the intelligence community, or just know how to work together is a really valuable skill. We also work on situational awareness. Basically is what's going on, how to observe things. And this is kind of our, a pre-investigative class is we teach basic observation. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel when you're in the astral plane? Are there any threats? So we put people through this. Observation is really a key part of our training. We also do some time work. We tell people to go back to a specific time, compare the same location now and perhaps a couple of 100 years ago. What do they see that's different? What do they hear? What do they smell? Learning to build up the senses. We also do some training, like I said, is psychic self-defense. We have people do an assessment of their own vulnerabilities. If they're going to be working with some of the nasty spirits that we know our people do is you need to understand your own vulnerability. And sometimes this is a very difficult. People don't want to, look at that part of themselves. But it's an important part of the training, especially if they're going to go on to the combat investigative class where it's like you're going to be getting lots and lots of nasties and you want to make sure that you are ready for them. And then one of our exercises is we go to a specific place that had a very nasty, crime and we have them go to a place now, look around, what's there, go interact with the spirits, basically interview them, say, hey, what's going on there? Then we go back, in time to when the event happened, and what do they observe? What do they see? What are they feeling? Are there any, is there anything that they can do working with the spirits or, the entities to help cross over? And then have them come back. And then I have write up, tell me what happened. Who committed this? So it's something that, I try and pick at least one place where you don't know the answer. And so they have to tell me who they came up with, did it, and why do they believe it? There's no right or wrong answer because we don't know. But and a lot of times I think people find it very, very interesting to just say, wow, it gives them a whole new perspective on that. And then finally, Alex said, is we also do exercises where, maybe go to a kind of a sketchy part of town, someplace that you are not comfortable with, either physically or psychically or astrally, and go through there and, look, go put together your observations. How do you keep yourself safe there? What are you feeling? Are you getting triggered? So this is you're exploring your own self. We're putting you into a place that is designed to take you out of your comfort zone and help you recognize it. And, for some people, they say, no, this is just too much. I don't think I'm ready. And that's great. They've learned some basic about astral projection, but probably they're not ready to move on to the next class, the investigative and combat class. So it's a way for each person to help and understand that decision. So it's our astral projection, like I said, we teach astral projection, but it's also a class about you learning about yourself, who you are, how you think. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, you have to know your own weaknesses before you can take on something that's much stronger than you until you defeat it.
Exactly.
So for someone that doesn't believe astral exists and just thinks we're all on drugs and crazy and whatnot, what would you explain in common terms what astral is?
Well, astral, like I said, it's very, very interesting on the whole astral. Historically, there's, every culture has had this. The early Christians did it. A lot of the Eastern cultures out of China, India, have all believed in this. It's something that's universal to people. And so it's kind of hard to sit there and just dismiss every culture on Earth and say, well, it's all fake. It's something consistent. It's part of who we are. And the government's actually done some work back during the 80s, the Cold War, into research. And more or less, they've kind of said, yes, it's real. They were using it. You can find the declassified records. And that's more remote viewing. They use the word remote viewing instead of astral because remote viewing sounded very much more scientific and technical. And so they had to invent a whole new word that, just sounded legitimate when they asked for funding from Congress. So, but more or less they said it's real. They did the metrics on this and said, yes, statistically you can show that this is real. We know the Soviets and the Russians have been doing it. Even the Chinese have been doing it. So they use this. It's very, very interesting that the Chinese actually had the Soviets trained some of their missile launch officers to protect themselves from astral espionage. So it's real. Like I said, it's not necessarily what people always think it is, but it's something that's universal. Anybody can learn to do it if they want to put the effort in. So if you doubt it, just you practice and you'll see it's real.
Well, and since you brought it up, so remote viewing is consciously living your mind versus your body. So remote viewing is essentially intelligence gathering and viewing only, not interaction.
Correct.
Are there any dangers to remote viewing versus astral?
Well, it's very interesting. I interviewed for one of my graduate classes in counterterrorism, and I interviewed one of the government remote viewers, and he was saying that one time, he ran into a bunch of KGB remote viewers out in the astral plane, and basically they just saw each other and acknowledged it. They were going to do their stuff, and